how slow can you go in on the driving test in the UK before the examiner's going to give you a series? This is the question people ask me a lot of. And I say to them, it's got to be a reasonable speed, and a reasonable speed will change depending on what's in front of you and the speed limit at the same time. So let me give you some examples that's going to hopefully help you to understand it. If it does, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, by the way, and feel free to share it, and feel free to leave a comment below if you think it's going to help people watching the video to get better at the driving. So if we have a great scenario, it's a nice clear day, it's probably summertime, it's probably ideal, it's not raining, you can see quite clearly ahead of you, there's not a lot of traffic, in fact there's probably no traffic on the road, and it's in the daytime when it's out of school times, so it's not in rush hour. It's a 30-mile-an-hour road, right? The examiner at that point is probably going to expect you to do about 27, 28 miles an hour. He'll keep an eye on your speed just like you do. So reasonable speed is what you've got to set at that point. If you're doing in a 30-mile-an-hour road 20 or even less than that, then you're going to get a fault, right? If you're holding traffic up behind you and they're having to overtake you because you're going slow, you're going to get a serious, right? Now, the examiner will give you a little bit of leeway, and what I mean by that is they're going to give you a fault, a driving fault for going slow at that point. So if there's nothing held up behind you but you're going slow, and they'll keep an eye on your speed, and you're going along that road for a period of time, say for about a minute or two, without even building up your speed, then it's going to be a driving fault at that point. So it's a minor fault, people call it. And like I say, if you continue to go at that slow speed and the cars catch up with you and they go around you, because you're forcing them to go around you at a point because you're going that slow and they want to get to the A to B at a reasonable speed, and you're doing 18 mile an hour on a 30 road, it's clear, and they go round you, don't be surprised if the examiner gives you a serious at that point. Now let me talk about the driving faults. And if you're driving along the road on that 30 mile an hour road, no one's behind you, and you're doing less than 20, now at that point you're going to get one fault, aren't you? But if you go down a side road and you turn down a side road to a new road at that point, and just say that same sort of speed, but you continue to go slow for a long period of time, it's going to be two faults at that point, isn't it? Because two different roads. And then if you go down another road, it's going to be three faults if you continue to go slow for no reason, then it's completely clear. So reasonable speed. So you've got to say to yourself, in a 30 mile an hour road, a nice clear day, you're talking 27, 28 miles an hour, it's probably reasonable. 29 to 30 is maximum, isn't it? If you keep saying I've got to get to the maximum speed, you'll eventually go over the maximum speed, and then you'll break the speed limit, which is wrong, and you'll get a serious for use of speed if you're going over the speed limit too much. But if that 30 mile an hour road, which is a nice clear day, has got parked cars on it that are quite close together, you have to slow down, aren't you? So the situation in front of you has changed from being a nice clear road ahead of you to being a little bit more trickier, so you reduce your speed accordingly. So if you're having to go around parked cars and do a bit of weaving, then you're going to slow down, aren't you? And I'll give you a good example. We were in a side road on the driving test about 2-3 months ago, and the students going round the cars because they're really close together, they parked way too close together, slowed down for first gear, done it about 3-4 mile an hour on a 30 mile an hour road, and we're fine. The examiner was fine about it because it's safety. She's slowing down because it's dangerous, and that's what you've got to say. But if it's a clear road and nothing's holding you back, then you've got to do reasonable speed, and reasonable speed on a nice clear road and straight road and 30 mile an hour is 27, 28 miles an hour. If it's a 40 mile an hour road, and this is what you got to say, you got to remember the same sort of situation, clear road, nice clear day, not a lot of traffic around, you want to be doing 38 mile an hour on a 40 mile an hour road if it's clear and you can see ahead of you, right? If you're doing 30 mile an hour on a 40 mile an hour road, it's clear, then you're going to get a fault for going slow, and the cars coming behind you, they're going to go round you, aren't they, overtake you because you're going way too slow at that point. So you've got to remember these things. If you're doing less than 30 mile an hour on a 40 mile an hour road, then you're probably going to get a serious for going way too slow at that point, unless the situation dictates it ahead of you. So if the situation means that there's parked cars or there's people crossing ahead of you, you're going to slow down, aren't you? And do what's reasonable. So on a 40 mile an hour road, if there's cars parked up, or if there's people crossing or something ahead of you, you'll be slowing down like you'd normally do. So there's nothing wrong with that. You would adjust your speed accordingly. Or if a car ahead of you is going not maximum speed but doing about 37, forcing you to do about 37, 36, keeping your distance from them, then that's fine. Because why would you overtake someone who's doing 37 mile an hour? They're not far off the maximum speed. But if you overtake them, you're probably going to have to break the speed limit to go past them. So it's not worth it. On a 50 mile an hour road then, reasonable day, nice and clear, you're talking 47, 48 mile an hour. That's what you want to try and get to if it's safe to do so. Bear this in mind. If it's a country road, and now the country roads are a bit more trickier, aren't they? Because they can be quite narrow, they can be quite a lot of potholes on the side, so you might not necessarily want to do that speed limit on a country road, but on a nice road, in a proper road, that's on a trunk road, that's a road, that's a 40 mile or 50 mile an hour, say, then you want to be doing reasonable speed. All right? But the same sort of thing, if the traffic ahead of you is all slowing down because of congestion, then you need to slow down at the same time, so you won't be going the maximum speed at that point. But if it's a nice clear road, you want to get close to that speed limit but not over it. A 60 mile an hour road, same sort of thing. If it's a clear road again, you've got to say, I want to be doing about 55, 57, 58 mile an hour at that point. But I don't need to push it right to the top, because I don't need to get to the top at that speed limit, because a reasonable speed, 55, 57 is fine. Right? But if I'm doing less than 50, then it's way too slow. It's way too slow at that point. On a 70 mile an hour road, nice and clear again. If it's clear, you want to be doing 65 mile an hour, if you can. If you're doing 60, you probably get away with 60. Less than 60 might be a bit too slow. If you're getting towards 50 on a 70 mile an hour road, that's way too slow. You're going to get a fault. And if you're holding traffic up and they're all going around you, don't be surprised if you get serious at that point. If you're doing 50 on a 70 mile an hour road, 20 mile an hour less than what it should be, you're forcing cars to go around you at that point. So that's way too slow. On a 20 mile an hour road, where maybe outside a school or a high street, restricted speed limit, right? You've got to bear these things in mind. Now, there's two things about 20 mile an hour roads, is it's there for a reason. So just take a school. If you're going past a school time, it's going to be packed with kids, isn't it? Packed with pedestrians crossing and parked cars. So you're not going to get to 20 mile an hour, no matter how hard you try. But you'll do it the safe speed, so you might even do 10 mile an hour going past them, because you're having to slow down for all the pedestrians. But if it's clear, because they've all gone in school and it's in the daytime and it's a nice clear road, then you want to be doing about 18 mile an hour if it's safe to do so. So it's a nice clear road ahead of you, nice day, nice sunny, you can see clearly ahead of you. 20 mile an hour road, you're talking 18 mile an hour, maybe 17, 15 might be getting a little bit slow. 10 mile an hour is way too slow, you'll get a serious possibly for at that point, because someone's going to overtake you. So I'm hoping this gives you an idea. Now remember, these speed limits are all down to what's ahead of you. So if you've got obstacles, whether it be parked cars, whether it be vehicles going slow, whether it be rush hour, that'll all dictate how fast you're going to go at the same time. So you won't actually not necessarily get to the speed limit. But if you're on your driving test and you can see ahead it's clear, reasonable speed. Okay, I hope it helps you. If it does, fantastic, and watch out for my next video next week.